Before dawn breaks over the choppy waters west of Palawan, the silhouette of an old gas platform stands silent and idle. News cameras zoom in, capturing Filipino Coast Guard ships circling nearby. Tensions simmer. Behind the scenes, Manila's leaders wrestle with a difficult question. Should the Philippines team up with China, its biggest rival in the South China Sea, to salvage a vital but delayed gas project? This is not just another territorial spat. The fate of the Malampaya gas fields, the country's main source of natural gas, hangs in the balance. As the gas runs out and blackouts threaten, the pressure mounts. Manila faces a stark choice: risk further delays and power shortages, or accept an uneasy partnership with Beijing. The proposal, launched by a top Filipino tycoon, has dominated headlines. It is stirring heated debate in the halls of Congress, in boardrooms, and on the streets. The stakes are high, not just for energy, but for the country's sovereignty, security, and future in Asia's most contested waters. For decades, the Philippines has struggled to keep the lights on. Its growing cities and industries demand more electricity every year. Yet the country's own oil and gas reserves are limited, and much of its power comes from imported coal or oil, making energy prices high and supply unstable. The Malampaya gas field, discovered in the late 1990s, was a game changer. It now supplies about a fifth of the country's electricity, especially to Luzon, the main island. But Malampaya's reserves are running out, and new gas projects like the Reed Bank or Recto Bank field have been stalled by disputes and legal hurdles. Stranded projects mean stranded dreams. Without new sources of natural gas, experts warn of rolling blackouts by the late 2020s. This would threaten jobs, investment, and the country's recovery from the pandemic. Filipinos are already feeling the pinch of high electricity bills and unreliable supply. The stakes go beyond economics. Energy security is now a matter of national security. Leaders are under pressure to deliver answers, and with Malampaya fading, the search for new gas has become urgent and political. Enter Ramon Ang, CEO of San Miguel Corporation, one of the Philippines' most influential tycoons. In January 2026, Ang made headlines by urging the government to consider a joint energy project with China. His idea set aside political disputes for now and work together to develop the Reed Bank gas field, which has been stalled for years. Ang's proposal is bold, even controversial. He argues that if the Philippines waits for a perfect solution or international support, nothing will happen. We cannot wait forever, he says. Our people need power. We need to be practical. The business leader's statement has put energy front and center in Manila's policy debates. Ang insists that a pragmatic deal with China could unlock billions in investment and technology. He says this is not about surrendering territory, but about unlocking stranded resources for the Filipino people. The proposal comes at a time of rising anxiety over Malampaya's decline, and with political leaders searching for answers. Some call it visionary, others see it as reckless, an invitation to more Chinese interference. Supporters of Ang's plan argue that partnering with China is the fastest way to restart the Reed Bank project. China has deep pockets, advanced drilling technology, and a record of fast infrastructure deals. Joint development could bring new gas within reach in just a few years, possibly saving the Philippines from future power crises. Another argument is that energy deals might cool tensions. By cooperating on business, Manila and Beijing could build trust and avoid dangerous confrontations at sea. Some officials see this as a way to manage disputes rather than escalate them, but the risks are real. Critics warn that joint ventures could undermine the Philippines' legal claims in the West Philippine Sea. China has a record of ignoring or twisting agreements in its favor. There are fears that any deal would give Beijing leverage over the country's energy and even its foreign policy. Economists also point out that past Chinese projects in the Philippines have faced delays, cost overruns, or hidden debts. The question remains, can Manila really trust Beijing as a partner, especially when the stakes are this high? The Reed Bank project is tangled in one of Asia's biggest territorial disputes. China claims almost the entire South China Sea, including waters and features inside the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, or EEZ. The Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, and others have rival claims. In 2016, an international tribunal in The Hague ruled in favor of the Philippines. The court found that China's sweeping 9-line claim had no legal basis and that Reed Bank lies within the Philippines' EEZ. The ruling was hailed as a historic victory for Manila, but China rejected the decision and has continued to build bases and patrol the disputed seas. the Philippines has struggled to enforce the ruling, especially as China's economic and military power grows. This has led to a complex mix of confrontation, negotiation, and uneasy coexistence. Any new deal with China must navigate this legal and diplomatic minefield. Critics fear that joint development could be seen as Manila giving up on the 2016 victory, or even weakening its sovereignty in the process. The idea of joint development is not new. Past Philippine leaders have floated similar proposals, hoping to tap disputed resources without settling sovereignty questions. The logic is simple: agree to share profits for now, and leave the hard questions for later. Some experts believe this could work, if carefully designed. Clear terms, strong safeguards, and international monitoring could prevent abuse. Joint ventures might also build mutual benefits, lowering the risk of conflict. But history offers warnings. In the early 2000s, a similar agreement called the Joint Marine Seismic Undertaking, or JMSU, faced criticism for secrecy and lack of benefits for Filipinos. It collapsed amid scandal and public backlash. Today, the stakes are even higher. The Philippines must weigh the promise of new gas against the peril of deeper Chinese influence. The challenge is to find a formula that delivers energy and protects the national interest. Filipino society is sharply divided over the China proposal. Some business groups and local officials support Eng's call, saying the country cannot afford to wait. They argue that energy is urgent and that politics should not stand in the way of progress. Others are deeply skeptical. Civil society groups, former diplomats, and several senators warn that any deal with China could undermine national sovereignty. They point to Beijing's history of divide and conquer tactics in the region and demand transparency. The voices of ordinary citizens are also growing louder. Social media is abuzz with debates about energy, sovereignty, and the cost of doing business with China. Some fear that joint projects could set a dangerous precedent. Others simply want cheaper, more reliable electricity, no matter the partner. As the debate heats up, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and his cabinet are under increasing pressure to make a clear decision. The future of the country's energy and foreign policy hangs in the balance. Within government, voices are split. Some officials see joint development as the only practical way forward. They argue that the Philippines lacks the capital and technology to go solo, especially with Malampaya declining fast. Others call for a coalition of the willing, inviting partners like Japan, the United States, or Australia instead of leaning on Beijing. Policy experts warn of hidden costs. Any deal with China must be airtight, transparent, and closely monitored. Otherwise, Manila could end up with lopsided terms or weakened claims in the West Philippine Sea. There is also debate over timing. Some say the government should wait for a stronger diplomatic position, or for more support from allies. Others insist the energy crisis will not wait, and that delay could mean disaster for the economy. As policymakers wrestle with these choices, the world is watching. What Manila decides could set the tone for how other Southeast Asian countries manage their own disputes with China. Beijing's reaction to the proposal has been cautiously positive. Chinese officials say they welcome cooperation and call for win-win solutions, but they also repeat their sweeping claims to the South China Sea, insisting that any deal must respect China's interests. The United States, on the other hand, is wary. Washington has long supported the 2016 Hague ruling and backs Manila's right to develop resources in its own exclusive economic zone, free from coercion. U.S. officials warn against deals that might undermine the rule of law or increase Chinese leverage. Other countries like Japan, Australia, and Vietnam are watching closely. Some have offered technical help or investment in Philippine energy. All worry that a badly designed deal with China could set a precedent, weakening regional resistance to Beijing's claims. International pressure is mounting. Whatever Manila decides, it will shape not just the country's energy future, but the balance of power in Asia's most contested waters. The proposal to team up with China is a true gamble. On one side, it offers a possible lifeline for the Philippines' power grid and economy. On the other, it risks deepening dependence on Beijing and undermining hard-won legal victories in the South China Sea. If Manila strikes a smart, transparent deal, one that protects sovereignty and delivers real benefits, it could buy time to develop other energy sources and keep the lights on for millions of Filipinos. It might even offer a model for cooperation in troubled waters. But if the deal is rushed, secretive, or slanted in China's favor, the costs could be high. The Philippines could lose leverage, face more pressure from Beijing, and see its own people lose faith in government. As the debate rages, one thing is clear. The country stands at a crossroads. The decisions made in the coming months will shape not just the energy sector but the Philippines' place in the region, and its future as an independent nation.